In this video, I want to explain how to evaluate numbers with exponents, but more specifically, exponents of decimals and fractions. So let's start with an example. We can say 0.4 to the second power. 0.4 to the second power, and finding exponents of decimals works the same way as if you were evaluating the decimal of a whole number, except now you have to involve decimals in multiplication. So let's say we already know that 4 squared is equal to 16 because we know that when a number is squared, it's just being multiplied by itself, and 4 times 4 is equal to 16, right? So now we can try and evaluate this number, right? So we can say 0.4. Remember, this is 0.4 times 0.4. So we say 0.4 and then another 0.4, and then we will just multiply, right? We will just multiply. So 4 and 4 is just 16. And there's nothing left to do here because these are just zeros. And then we see that there are two numbers to the right of decimal places. So we will just move this decimal that's right here over 2 places to the left. 2 places to the left. So our answer to this problem will end up being 0.16. 0.16. So we just multiplied as if this was a normal multiplication problem, and then we add the decimal per usual when you're multiplying decimals, and then that is the answer to our problem. And let's do a few more examples. Now let's say, scroll down a little bit more. Now let's say 0.5 raised to the third power. So this is going to be the same thing as what? This is going to be the same thing as 0.5 times 0.5 times 0.5. Okay, so we can start here. 0.5 times 0.5. Well, 5 times 5 is 25, and there are two numbers to the right of the decimal places here. So we'd end up moving our decimal place 2 places to the left of 25, which would leave us with 0.25. 0.25, and now we're multiplying by 0.5. And we can do that. 0.25 times 0.5. Okay. 5 and 5 is 25. Carry this 2. 2 and 5 is 10, and then plus 2 is 12. And there are three numbers here to the right of the decimal place. So we're going to move this decimal that's originally here 1, 2, 3 places. So now our answer to 0.5 to the third power is 0.125. 0.125. And hopefully this is making sense, but let's do one more problem with decimals just to see. Now let's say we have 0.07 squared, or 0.07 to the second power. Well, this is the same thing as 0.07 times 0.07. So we can do that. 0.07, 0.077. Okay, so 7 times 7 is just 49. And then we can carry this 4. And we see there's a 0 here, so that's 0 plus 4 is 4, and then so on and so forth. These would all just be zeros. So we would just be left with 0, or we would be left with 49. And now we need to see how many numbers are to the right of the decimal place. And let's see here. In this one, it's 1, 2, and this one is also 1, 2. So we're going to move the decimal places 4 places to the right, or 4 places to the left, rather. Remember, it's originally here, so we're going to move it 1 place, 2 place, 3 places, and we can start adding zeros, and then 4 places. And this is where our decimal will be, and we'll add a 0 here to show there's no whole number. So our answer, and I'm going to get rid of this just so that you can, so I have room to write the answer. Our answer here was 0.0049. 0.0049. Now let's figure out how to evaluate exponents of fractions. So let's say, for example, we have the fraction, and I'll write parentheses here, 1/2 to the second power. 1/2 to the second power. Well, exponents just mean that you're multiplying it by itself, the number that the exponent says. So this will be equal to, or be the same as, 1/2 times 1/2. And this would just be See, 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. So our answer to 1/2 squared is actually just 1/4. Now let's try this example. Let's try this example. 2/3 to the third power. 2/3 to the third power. And this is going to be equal. This is going to be equal to 2/3 times 2/3 times 2/3. Let's see here. So this is just going to be 2 times 2, which is 4. Let's do this. That is 4, and then 3 times 3 is 9. And we still have another 2/3 to multiply by. So we're still multiplying by this 2/3. This is going to be equal to 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 9 times 3 is 27. 27. So our answer to this problem is 8/27. And you may notice a pattern here, like we usually do. When you're taking the exponent of a fraction, you can actually just distribute this exponent to both the numerator and denominator. So we can do this. With our last problem, 2/3 raised to the third power. 2/3 raised to the third power. We can actually just rewrite this as 2 to the third power over 3 to the third power. And then 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and that 4 times the other 2 is 8. And then 3 times 3 is 9, and then 9 times 3 is 27. So we get the exact same answer here. Now let's work on one more. We can say 7/9 squared. And remember, we can just distribute the exponent to both the numerator and denominators. So we will rewrite this as 7 times 7, because 7 squared just means 7 times 7. And the same thing in the denominator, 9 times 9. And this will just be equal to, well, 7 times 7 is 49. And then 9 times 9 is 81. 81. And this is our answer to this problem. Let's work on a little bit more of a challenging problem so that we can apply all that we've learned in this video. So let's say 0.5 squared is being multiplied to 2/3 squared. 2/3 squared. And then let's divide all of this by 2 to the third power. 2 to the third power. Okay. So let's start by evaluating each of these values. So 0.5 squared would be 0.5 times 0.5. See, this will be 25, and then that's 2. And then there are 2 numbers for the decimal place, so we move that 2 places. So here we're going to have 0.25 times 2/3 squared. We can distribute the exponent to the numerator and denominators. So 2 squared is 4, and then 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. And then we can divide all of this by, let's see, 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. Then 4 times the other 2 will be 8. And let's actually rewrite all of these as fractions, right? So 0.25, that is the same thing as 25 hundredths. 25 hundredths because we're in the hundredths place. So this will be equal to 25/100. And notice both of these are divisible by 25, so this can actually be simplified to 1/4, because 25 divided by 25 is 1, and then 100 divided by 25 is 4. So we can actually simplify 0.25 to 1/4. 1/4. And then we can multiply by 4/9, and then divide by 8/1. And then let's simplify this even farther. So we'll take all of this down here. So 1/4 times 4/9. Well, let's multiply numerators and denominators. So 4 times 1 is 4. And then 4 times 9 is 36. 36. And we're dividing by 8/1. And remember, when we're dividing by a fraction, we can keep, change, flip. So we'll change this to a multiplication sign and then flip this to its reciprocal. So multiplication sign and then 1/8. 1/8. And now this will be 4/36 times 8. We can do that. 36 times 8. This will be 36 times 8. And that is 48. Carry this 4. And then 3 times 8 is 24, plus this 4 is 28. So 288. And then both of these look like they're divisible by 4. So this will be 1 over, and then we can divide 288 by 4. So into 288. That goes into 2 0 times. 28, it goes into it 6 times. Or 7 times, sorry. We'll go into 28 7 times. So that will be 28, 0, drop down this 8. And then 4 goes into 8 twice. So 72. 72. So our answer to this giant problem over here, let me get rid of this. Our answer to this big problem over here, which is 0.5 squared times 2/3 squared over 2 to the third power, or 2 cubed, is just going to be equal to 1 over 72. 1 over 72. And remember, when dealing with a bunch of different types of numbers, you have decimals, fractions, and whole numbers. Just try to convert everything to one type of number and then solve from there. So our answer to this problem is 1 over 72. And we are done.